Welcome to the Learning Algorithm, where we decode what makes learning and AI click. In this episode, we'll be talking about why learning science matters in the age of AI, because we've all heard it. Just use ChatGPT for that. But really, when it comes to developing skills at work, is that going to be enough? What does it mean to actually build capabilities and not just find an answer? So to tackle these tough questions, we'll hear from Nikki Helmer. Nikki is our Chief Product Officer at Degreed and is building the vision to enhance skills-first learning to leverage AI responsibly and effectively. So prior to joining Degreed, Nikki served as SAP's Vice President of Learning and Development, where she was responsible for the functional skill development for over 100,000 employees. I am so excited that she's able to join us today and talk more about responsible AI in the science of learning. Welcome to the show, Nikki.
I'm super excited. I really am to sit down with you today, Angela.
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask the first question. Why is learning science critical to driving outcomes in enterprise settings?
Okay. The way that I think about learning science in enterprise settings requires a little bit of a history and then the forward thinking. And the history is, for a very long time, especially in the enterprise, learning has been focused on what I like to call the buffet plan, right? As long as you have a very well-stocked buffet, all of your people are going to be able to find something that they like on the buffet. And some things are more popular and some things are less popular, but it is about having more. And I think that is absolutely not the way of the future. And this is where sort of learning science comes in. What we need now is actually not more content. We need more progression, more outcomes from the time that people are spending learning. They need to know the thing we need them to know. They need to be able to do the thing they need to be able to do for their job. And there is not any extra time, especially on, the enterprise organizational, hours that you spend at work. So learning science is literally the study of how you take that input, the activities that you do from a learning perspective, in order to create the progression in the most effective, most efficient way. And I think that we're at a point in time where people are realizing that it is no longer about access. It is no longer just about, if you build it, they will come. People need more guidance, and they need to know that the options you're putting in front of them from a learning perspective are made for them and are going to move them forward. Learning science is there to manage cognitive load. It is there to strengthen critical thinking. It is there to translate the activity into application and build real capability. And so I think that learning science right now, given the importance of maximizing the time that you spend on any given activity, is more important than it ever has been in learning so far.
I love that. So what you're saying is that businesses need to provide a focus, and that focus in the content really relates to the outcomes of being better in their roles and not just give them all of the content that they can choose from.
100%. And it's even more important right now with what we see transforming the workplace with AI. There is some research out there that says that 77% of people say that AI has added to their workload. So while we're all out here saying, hey, AI is this big productivity tool, and in many ways it is also dramatically increasing the work that people are expected to do. And you have more to learn because your role is changing, your company is changing, your operating models are changing. There are more products that your company is able to launch because you develop them more quickly with AI. All of that means there's more on a person. And so the precious minutes, hours, whatever time they're able to spend learning, they want to really get the outcome from that time. It cannot be that I spent an hour learning, quote unquote, learning about something, but I'm not able to recall or apply that hour of my life for my future benefit. So that's really what learning science is all about, and that's why it's so critical today, even more so than it ever has been in the past.
Love that. So you mentioned the buzzword AI and how everyone's talking about it. What you were just mentioning is contradictory to what I hear in the industry of, we'll just use ChatGPT, or we just need an AI coach to help make our jobs more efficient. Can you talk about what are the risks of AI only solutions if ignored, validated learning principles aren't applied?
Totally. So AI tools, things like the ChatGPTs, things like Copilot, these are fantastic. You should absolutely use them in your business. I use them every day. I probably am, a more prolific user of ChatGPT than many. They are really, really great. The problem is that these are really, really great at horizontal use cases. So they help you write an email better or clearer or nicer. They help you do some research more quickly. What they do not do is help you build an actual capability. They're made for accessing facts and knowledge, and even that has some complications. They're not made to help you think critically. In fact, there is other research that has come out that says the people who are more confident using these tools are actually getting less good at critical thinking. And if you think about it, they're probably outsourcing some of that thinking to AI. Now, I don't claim that that's an irreversible trend or everyone should panic, but there is a danger that we mistake productivity with actual development. Getting somebody some specification, the product is able to do this or that, or again, this email is written nicely, is absolutely not the same as someone in a unscripted context or somebody in a new and novel, complex scenario is able to apply the various skills and ideas and knowledge that they have in order to solve business problems. I think of learning in three levels, actually. I'm defining one at the base level is a very transactional level of knowledge. That's where these are great. They are great at getting you facts and figures that make you more productive. There is another level that I call situational, and situational is that ability to think on your feet. For example, you're on the floor of a conference or a trade show, or you're in a sales call. You do not have the AI feeding you every answer. And if you do, you're going to look insane, right? We see this already on LinkedIn or other places where you can just tell that this idea has been produced by ChatGPT. You didn't even bother to remove the M dashes and emojis, and you're already thinking, no, this doesn't reflect well on this person, their credibility, their expertise. So that situational learning is being able to respond and react on the fly in an unscripted way. And then I say there's an even higher level, which is strategic, which is these very complex situations that drive adaptability and capability in an organization. And when people think, oh, hey, look, these broad AI tools, the ChatGPTs, the Copilots, are like they're the answer to everything, I think they're massively missing the point of conflating productivity. I can do this kind of narrow thing faster, amazing, great, with capability, which is I am able to perform and do things in novel and strategic contexts.
Okay, so if we're thinking of those top two buckets you're talking about for AI influence, of the strategic outcomes and a situational acceptance, what are some of those real world outcomes that folks could see when learning science is applied to those types of models within AI?
Yeah. This is where I think things are actually especially exciting. So AI is sort of the threat and the savior in this case. It's just transforming things in good ways and bad ways. So if we think about real world outcomes, if we use AI and learning science in those situational and those strategic levels. I mean, it also helps at the transactional level. We can start to layer in that learning science, layer in that learning design, so you scale things that you couldn't scale beyond high touch, human only interactions. Think about things like coaching, right? Now we can do that with AI. Think about things like getting real time feedback. Hey, this is how I'm going to do this pitch. How do you think Angela is going to react to that pitch? And you can practice and real time kind of simulate the feedback on a real life experience. You can start to reflect and find your own patterns. AI is a fabulous pattern matcher, and it is a fabulous reflection of you to you. If you use it like a mirror, and that type of reflection is actually very important in learning. The consolidation period of this is what I learned, this is how I learned it, this is what I did and how I will do it differently. If you use AI to motivate or create space for these things which were previously limited to high touch interactions, to people with executive coaches, which are at the rarefied air level of your organization. They are instructor led trainings. Now, all of that can be done a lot easier at scale. You're getting much better learning experiences. And what that translates to are things like faster onboarding, smoother role transitions, better skill transition and mobility, and really meaningful business performance outcomes, right? How quickly can you get everyone to understand the new strategy and kind of move from left to right in terms of direction? It's not just taking courses, it's actually building behavior change better, faster, and in ways that people enjoy.
Nikki, are you sure businesses are ready for that?
um, I love this question, Angela, because am I sure businesses are ready for that? No, right? I'm not sure businesses are ready for that. But that's because businesses are not necessarily ready for big changes. And that doesn't mean that big changes are waiting for businesses to be ready. We have conversations with enterprise leaders on a daily basis. And part of the message that we say is this change is coming, whether you are ready or not. So you don't have to change your learning plan. You can keep with the content buffet, but the world around you is shifting. The market is shifting. The regulations are shifting. Your industry is shifting, and your competitors are shifting. And so if you're not ready, like, we get it, change is hard, but that doesn't mean anyone else is waiting. And this is not the time as a business leader to be slow and overly, I don't mean that you shouldn't take thoughtful risk, but overly risk averse, because we see tremendous shift in the past decade in the Fortune 100. I think we're going to see tremendous shift in the next decade in the Fortune 100. These are existential times. And so are you ready? I don't know, but you need to get ready.
All right. Folks, you heard this. You have to get on board. Just get on the train. Learning is changing. It's going to transform how people are doing their jobs. I am sure that you're all freaking out and wondering how you go about this. So, Nikki, what is an easy way that folks can think and that the learning is influencing the skill development, the competency development of your employees?
Yeah. I'm going to give two answers to this, because there's the sort of, for businesses that are already doing this, the answer is definitely looking at skills data, managing your skills transformation, understanding what skills you need, then seeing what interventions you are doing. And I mean, I'm using a technical term, interventions, but it can be an article, it can be a course, it can be your all hands, it can be an on the job assignment. Like, it's not important what the thing is. It's just important that people are progressing from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 or A to B or whatever that might be. So if you have that kind of framework set up, then it's about measuring whether or not people are getting from A to B. If you don't have that set up, and a lot of companies are sort of getting on the skills train now, I still do not believe that you need to pause or slow down in order to start taking advantage of this idea of building more learning science or thinking of what you can do with practice, reflection, feedback, capability building into your organization. I think of it like a no regret move, right? You may or may not have the precision that you want to apply for what you need to develop your workforce on if you don't have that really great, precise data from your skills needs or your skills inventory, what you have in your organization. But if you have a pretty good idea directionally that you need to start building EVs, or you need to build new AI advanced software, or you need new therapies for cancer treatment, like, you have a pretty good idea. You also probably have a pretty good idea of what people need to develop. There is nothing that stops you from taking advantage of this type of modality and applying it. Might it be a little bit better if you had precise information? 100%. But that doesn't mean that you should wait to get a perfect, precise direction. You can start down that road in the general direction and sort of adjust as you go.
I love that. A simple use case, get it going. There's easy ways to get learning science embedded into your philosophy and the way you're moving your workforce.
100%. And you're already probably, I mean, the other thing is, we're talking about this, Angela, like, learning science is brand new. Like, nobody in the corporate world is applying learning science yet. And here we're saying, hey, learning science is super important. That's just false. Learning science is absolutely already being used. I'm sure that a lot of the listeners have instructional designers or are instructional designers. The people that build content in some of the content providers are trained in instructional design, which is fundamentally part of what we're talking about from learning science. The difference here is, number one, how important it is now. Now it's really not okay to have elements of your learning strategy that are not informed by this, because you don't have time to waste. And the other side is, it used to be very hard to get an instructional designer. There aren't that many of them in your company. And so you pick which things are really important and then get the specialist skill. Now, what we can do with AI is also kind of democratize access to the skill of people understanding the learning science. You can bake that in to software and some of the things that are good learning science, right? So there are a couple of different things that are converging that say, even though learning science conceptually is not new, it's not even new to the enterprise, it's just a shift now in its relative importance and its relative availability.
Thank you, Nikki, so much for your insights. I think this is really helpful. It helps to ground for our listeners. And if you're interested in learning more on this topic, feel free to visit degreed.com and check out our other episodes in this series.